Oh, yo. What's up, everybody? GM. Happy Monday. I think everybody's hitting this Monday with a little bit of a mixed emotion, right? Got the bags of mixed emotions today. Are we pumping? Are we dumping? What are we going to do? My goodness. A lot of crazy news going on. I was just chatting with Turbo before this on text message. Him at 7. Looks like we got a bunch of banks that are halted their trading. That's going to be an interesting day to see what happens in the old stock market world. I can tell you, I have got my eye on Ethereum. I have had my eye on Ethereum pretty much all night. I don't know about you guys. I got like 2 solid hours of sleep, and then it was just watching markets, watching news, reading articles, checking sentiments about everybody on what everybody was saying online. What are we going to do, boys and ladies? GM.
GM, what is up to the Web3 breakfast? Hey, look, might be down for some people, and if it is, I'm very sorry, and I hate that you're going through this situation. For those of you who've been waiting for this day for a long time, we are here. It's going to be interesting. You know what I'm saying? This is what we all come together for, Jay. Is that we can avoid all of this, and we can do peer-to-peer transactions, and we can make a freaking difference and govern ourselves way better than being governed by greedy politicians and the powers that be.
I like that, man. I am all for that. I feel like, that's why we all kind of got into crypto in the first place. Is we really wanted to do something better with our financial well-being and freedoms and choices and all that stuff. And what I don't understand is why when the crypto bank Silvergate went down, crypto was such a bad thing. But when an actual bank goes down, like there's no
Right.
like they don't say the same things. Why? And where's our president? Why did he give just like a 2-clip thing like on his way to California? Like, what kind of man is he? He's not, I don't think he's a good leader, to be perfectly honest with you. Sorry if that offends anybody.
No, yeah, I mean, it's not about politics, right? We're literally just talking about, the individual themselves, and the lack of ability, I'm saying, that we've seen across the board. I mean, listen, nobody knows, you know what I'm saying? Shit, he can't get, this dude wants us to listen to a record player. Like right now, it's not a good time for him to be speaking on camera or in the microphone or anything. I mean, there really is, in the traditional world, some major issues that are coming down the pipe. I mean, Charles Schwab halting, bro, that is insane.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm going to refresh this because you can go to the NASDAQtrader.com and you can look at any halts. PacWest Bank Corp. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Jay, it was crazy because I went to Google and I typed in the Dow, and when it first popped up on my screen, it said 152% loss, and then it refreshed real quick. It was crazy, bro. I tried to get a screenshot of it, but it refreshed on my thing, on my browser.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see where the day takes us. Knowing that the traditional finance world may be in trouble. Typically, what we see is crypto pump, but I think with the amount of fear that we're seeing across the board, I mean, listen. I think I was said to my wife last night, it's like, and I was, again, watching everything this morning. I was watching Bank of America. That's where we keep most of our fiat is at Bank of America and Chase JP Morgan. And so I was watching those. I mean, Bank of America pre-market was down the most out of like the major banks, but I think it's recovered a little bit since then. So, I feel better, but like, I almost did the same thing that everybody's thinking. I had my keys in my hand this morning, and I was like, as soon as the bank's open, I'm running to go get cash. I'm taking all the cash out. Good thing I didn't, because like I don't want to be the guy sparking the bank run, right?
Well, I mean, Jay, I mean, you're definitely not going to be the guy that started it. You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
I think everybody has to, everybody has to do what makes them feel most comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And like in the traditional world, when we look at Web2, and just that side, it's like they're not locking arms with nobody. Like on that side, like people are defending for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So what we do over here in the Web3 is going to be crucial. I think I did send Matt an invite. He's probably busy. I was hoping that he is able to come up and join the conversation, because I would definitely love to hear his insight and just kind of see where he's at. But the crypto, man, it's one of those things. I wonder if it's is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? I can't call it, bro. You know what I'm saying? On your little post, your poll that you put out, I just put that I like turtles because, what I'm saying, I don't want to make any calls.
In full disclosure, I mean, on my alt accounts, I voted for I like turtles too, just so I could get a vote in there. So,
well, if you guys look at everything that's happening, right? For one, they would find a way to put a stop to it anyway, because it's against FDIC laws and a couple other laws to keep more than $10,000 cash in your home now. Some states may not abide by it, but that's like the federal ruling on it. The banks want to keep the money because, especially what you have in your savings, they use that to lend out, right? They lend it out about 10 cents to the dollar, sometimes pennies.
At least 10 times.
So if you pull all your money out, they have nothing to lend. This is what caused the 2008 crash, because they were lending out money that they did not have. And when people could not afford to pay their loans, then they weren't replacing the money that they were lending out. And so the government bailed out some of them, but the issue at hand is it's hard to bail out someone who has an unamounted level of cash that did not get replaced. So trying to balance out the sheets is an unknown thing. Or when you're lending people homes who only make 25, 30K, but the home is really for someone who makes 75 to 100. And so what you will see the survivalists, quote unquote, do is take a little bit of dry powder and put it into a Cash App or put it into a PayPal. That way they still have a way to digitally use some money, right? Some people may have Coinbase cards or Crypto.com cards. It gives you the opportunity to still use your crypto to take care of day-to-day things, whether it's gas, whether it's food, whether it's to pay a bill. So these are some options that we do have available to us in our space that people that aren't in this space don't have, right? They're relying on that bank card.
Dude, and that's a scary thing to know that, if you've got everything tied up and it's unusable, what you would do. I love that, Ardo. I've got Cash App for that very reason. Same thing. I got the card that comes with it. So if worse comes to worse, you just slide a little money on over to that Cash App account, and then I've got a card that works for it. Plus, I could turn it into Bitcoin immediately. So that is definitely a great option.
Did you see the hold button for Charles Schwab? I mean, bro, I think they'll hold all that stuff, man. I mean, we saw it with Robinhood the last time. You know what I'm saying? They would just turn off buy buttons and sell buttons.
That's what.
No, I think it's going to be more extreme this time. I think they're just going to wipe the slate clean and tell everybody, "Oops, we sold your stuff for 0.5 of what it was worth." And,
no way. They can't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Go look at Fidelity's fine print, sir.
Oh, I'm seeing thumbs up from Matthew.
Absolutely.
That means Matthew and Seven are against me right now.
Like, I literally have done so much research on this crap. Like, I only hold stuff in Fidelity because I want to see how they're going to try to fuck me when this happens, because it's going to be hilarious. But if you do have stuff, I would just hold it, honestly, just to see.
Wells Fargo did the same thing, right? Wells Fargo did the same thing. They came to people and they said, hey, we know you have a home loan, but we're closing that loan out. Sorry for you. We know you have a car loan. We're closing that loan out. Sorry for you. Business loans too. This is what they do. And I watched this happen all the way back from, I'm sure you guys in the South might remember when there was First Union. And then First Union was absorbed by Wachovia. And then Wachovia was going to merge with Wells Fargo, but then they were absorbed by Wells Fargo. And then everything fell apart because Wells Fargo's bridges got too big for their word.
Yeah, but wasn't that
whole,
right at the time? I'm sorry, Seven, real quick on it. I just
all
want to
good,
throw something down there real fast on that. Because Final, wasn't that right at the time when Wells Fargo got caught fudging all of the credit paperwork and giving people accounts and
the
stuff?
fake account thing?
Yes. So their britches got too big for their word, and they were doing they had a massive program. You probably remember it, where it was, new first time home buyer, we'll let you get a $400,000 home, even though you only make 30 grand. And then next thing you know, the people default, and the bank stuck with money they lended from people's savings accounts and then couldn't cover it because here's his house getting foreclosed. So this is why you had freaking like $1 million homes being sold for like 200 grand, because they're trying to make something back to cover people's money that they took. And what they do to try to keep you from using the money that they're lending is they penalize you for using your own money.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And before we go any further, guys, it's a great opportunity, guys, to reach down. Let's go ahead and hit the retweet button. Tweet out. There's people out there that need to be a part of this conversation. We want people to get in. We want to hear your perspectives. Each and every one of you guys, you know what I'm saying? We want to hear from you. So we appreciate you guys being here. It's a great time to retweet out the space.
Absolutely. And
I'm only here to read Turbo, nothing else, because I trust everybody. I trust all the banks and all the crypto people. I just press buttons and don't think about it, Turbo.
Yes.
This is how we do
Is this
it.
Steph Curry? Steph, what's up?
Really quick,
No.
while we're finishing up the retweet of the room, just really quick, if it's your first time popping in here, guys, thank you, GM. This is Web3 Breakfast. Make sure if you want to participate in the conversation today, all you do is request to speak. That is something that this is an open forum for the community, by the community here in Web3. We just have one rule, and one rule only: don't be a douchebag. That's it.
Don't be a douchebag. GM.
Oh
What
man,
is happening?
Hey, when did you get your phone, buddy?
Just now. That's
Right at
why
10
I'm chiming
o'clock.
in.
I heard you.
Let's
I heard you got
go.
in trouble. I heard you got in trouble for giggling
I told my mom, listen, when I'm home, when I'm not at work, I absolutely need to hang out in Web3 Breakfast. She's like, all right, fine, bet.
You tell her
So you're doing like extra chores for this hour of Web3 Breakfast? Is that what you're
Bro, I'll do whatever it takes to
No,
get
he
here.
submitted his field trip form.
Hey man, are you getting that stacked lunch, or is your mom actually going to be
does she still write a little note on the
gosh.
napkin?
No, it's on the back. It's on the
Sometimes,
outside of the bag, so everybody else can read it too.
Hey, you already know. I got grounded last night for rapping after 10 o'clock. It was crazy,
Does she still kiss your cheek with the lipstick that rubs off?
I'll never let it happen.
Oh no!
I will never let it happen ever.
All right,
ever,
this is the moment of truth right here. KT has been trying to come up on stage for Web3 Breakfast. It was like Thursday, Friday, and now today's Monday. Please, can you hear us and can you speak?
Yeah,
there we
I
go.
have to do some shady crap to get in here.
Are you still using the emulator?
Yeah, it sucks. I even got a new phone, quote unquote new phone. It's 3 generations newer than the one I had. Still nothing. But that little blue check mark, those support guys are like, what the hell's going on? We don't know. Let's see what we can do. But I'm pretty sure it was an update with Twitter for Samsung users that are on the Verizon network. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm sitting here pulling trying to hold my kilt down. This tornado of financial shenanigans going around. It's just causing all kinds of chaos. Just watching the show right now.
The show is definitely on, and if we look at like coin market cap really quick, obviously the stock world may be having some issues, the bank world might be having some issues, but I'll tell you what, crypto is doing great. Bitcoin's up over 12%, Ethereum's up over 10%, BNB's up over 10%. Let's see what else we got. XRP only up 2.7%. That leads me to believe something's going on. Cardano up 11.5%. I mean, we're seeing double-digit gains across the board for a lot of these coins. Big day for this recovery. Now, is it going to be sustained? Would you take that 12? Like, say you say you got all your coin in Ethereum and you're up 10% today. Now, obviously, you're probably still way down from where you were. But do you take that 10% and tether off and wait for more fallout, or what do you do?
Oh man, none of us are financial advisors. None of us are financial advisors. Matthew's busy.
No, but we could. But
anything
it doesn't.
say today.
It doesn't have to be
It's not
financial.
one.
It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
financial
it's not.
advice. It could just be some friendly opinion amongst some guys and gals
Turbo's
that,
so scared to get sued.
It's not financial advice, but this is what you do. You watch the charts, or you learn to watch those charts. When you see the local top, you take your profits, even if you just skim off a little bit. And then once you see the local bottom, then you get back in. This is how you can make your gains in the bear market. But at the same time, utilize this moment where people are probably going to use Bitcoin as it was intended to hedge against inflation and hedge against the dollar. The big boys are showing you that right before your eyes. Right? When they saw that it was a hedge against the dollar and a hedge against inflation, they utilized it. So we should do the same, because that's the word we're preaching.
that's
Well,
go ahead, Turbo.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say the final. A big indicator is USDC. Making a strong recovery coming back. But I wonder. This is where I kind of wonder. This might be just because as just someone who's nervous about everything, is that when you put a bunch of liquidity into the pool, right, and then those numbers go up, right, you have that opportunity to take those gains off the back of the people who are diamond handed. So we're going to see this huge gain to be able, because I mean, if you look at Ethereum and Bitcoin, I mean, from the last point that we were at, I mean, they've gained almost 20%, right? We had Bitcoin under it was at $2,000 or $20,000. Or it actually went under, right? Friday, didn't it go under $20,000? Now it's back up 23,000. I mean, it's not a huge gain, but if you have millions of dollars at stake and you're able to move big numbers, I mean, that's a good return.
Well, this is the thing. Diamond hands is something that was created for Bitcoin and the earlier coins, right? But it is socially spread around as just a general thing to do in crypto. Honestly, that's a big mistake, right? Yeah, if you bought Bitcoin at $1, yeah, you needed to have diamond hands to see it get to where it is today. But a lot of these altcoins are not meant to have diamond hands, because you will be 10,000% in gains, and next thing you know, you lose everything, even more than what you invested by having diamond hands. And some of them, they never come back anywhere near their all-time high. So you take your profits when you can, and you utilize the bear market to invest those profits to be able to have a good return. This is the first time in history where in a 36-month turnaround, people could make more money than they could working 40 years. So utilize the leverage you've been given, because we won't always see bull runs be like this, right? Bitcoin itself does have a diminishing return, but only for the little man, right? Once it becomes that rich man's coin, they have a bigger profit margin, right? If I have 100 Bitcoins, but J Chains only has 2, I can sustain holding out a little bit longer than he can, because he's going to have a diminishing return based on the price of the commodity.
Thanks for only giving me 2 Bitcoin in that scenario, Hardo. I appreciate that. Like, you were like super rich in this story, and I'm like a poor guy. So thanks, man. Messing with you. Let me ask you a question about the diamond hand, and let's talk about this, because that's one of those things that's always been so fascinating to me. Like, you hear the stories, right? Like the guy who turned like $1,000 in SHIB into $1 billion. Like you hear these people that have like true diamond hands. I'm going to tell you right now, if I were to make $1,000 investment, probably by the time it hits 50,000, unless I'm not paying attention, 50 or $100,000, like that's when I'm thinking like, okay, probably time to sell here. I think I made some pretty good money. If we get to 1 million, sold. If it gets to 5 million, I was already out. 50 million, sorry, man, I sold out at 1 million. 100 million, what? No, listen, if I held on that long, I would have the shakiest noodle legs on the planet. I would be throwing up every second. Like I wouldn't know what to do. Like, how do you diamond hand that long? How does someone do that? How do you have that kind of discipline?
You have to have a group of people that are holding your hands away from the sell button.
Yeah.
And you just have to have a good time watching the fucking mountain literally be built in front of you. And you just, hope you get out at the tippiest top that you can get out for yourself.
But
because I have a number. So if your number is 1 million, J Chains, I fucking applaud you for getting that money, man. That's awesome. But dude, I'm gonna ride that motherfucker to 100 million to 1 billion. I don't care what it is. It's gonna go to all the way to the top. They're just gonna have to pay me.
But we've seen, I've diamond handed projects down to zero before. Like after you get toasted a couple times, like ain't no way that's happening again. I will not diamond hand to zero ever again.
I have a loaf of toast as well, but I'm just telling you, I will go in as hard as I need to go because it's either food stamps or millionaire, man.
Sure.
That's all it is.
This is how you do it, right? In a scenario like that, you invested $1,000. It has the potential to make you millions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once you're a few $1,000s in profit, skim off your profit to recover your investment. So you've already hit your ROI. Then you can let it sit. Okay. Then you can let it sit. And whatever gains you get after that, well, be smart enough to take profits before its crash comes. This is what I try to tell people with Shiba. I literally made about 48 hours before the crash. I put out a Facebook statement. I said, this is the first time that any of you have probably been 200,000% in the profit. Take your gains and get out now. Next thing you know, Shiba crashes like 73% in one day. And I had a friend who had just put 30 grand in right before I put out that post. And he's like, no, man, it's going to look. This is how unrealistic people can be when they don't use that second currency of the world, knowledge, right? He was under this misperception that Shiba was going to go to a couple cents or $1 or something like that. And I told him, I said, in order for Shiba to do that, it would have to have a market cap larger than everything on the entire planet combined. Does that make logical sense to you? It doesn't. But this is how some people enter this space and they get wrecked, and then they want to FUD the space because they lose everything. And this is why we as leaders have the responsibility to educate them the best we can. And then if they make a mistake, it's on them. But we do have to bring them in the right way.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. You gotta do it. I was on a project last year, the whole side chain rugged. Most of the folks that were in there were down 99% when they got out, if they got anything. And some of those folks put in $100,000 or more, and they came out with nickels. So you got to keep your eyes open. But the whole having good leaders on your team, that's the key right there. They got to know what the heck is going on. And when things start going sideways, they've got to sit there and say, hey, be careful here. This is not when you want to start putting stuff in. Not financial advice or any of that, but just got to keep your eyes open and make sure you're taking care of your people.
Keep that head on the swivel. Go ahead.
What's so crazy is like I think back to my second NFT that I ever bought, because my first one was a Krypton Goon, and I lost a ton of money trying on gas, and I kept fucking canceling it and all this stuff. Then I got scammed right after, so all my profits were kind of gone, but I had the bug, and I went into the Debonair Apes project. Baron Davis is there. Like I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be the biggest thing. Like they were gonna be in the Super Bowl, all of this stuff. And I like borrowed money from my mom, and like we were all in. And I was like, look, I was like, you know, there's an opportunity. This thing could take off. And, you know, we had to sit down, like have a conversation where it was like, cause I was only able to get one, you know, if that thing does go up to $5,000-$10,000, like I have to take my profits. I have to claim, you know what I'm saying? I can't diamond hand, you know, because just from, you know, like what it would, the effect that it would have on my family, right? Like, how could I possibly hold this thing, right? That was $10,000. I never made it there, but I did have that conversation with myself. And I think it's one of those things, like when we first begin with, like, you know, people coming into the space and adoption, right? That needs to be a conversation, you know, like when, you know, like what is your time to get out? When is your time to stay in? You know, how do you make that decision? So
here's the bit of advice that I can give everybody on that. And this is something that I had heard, and if I think about it, because I actually did this and I had heard about it later. The moment that you screenshot your portfolio and go to send it to somebody, be like, yo, motherfucker, look what we did. Sell everything. Sell everything at that moment, because at that point, if you are excited about what you've turned your money into, you got something, and then you just sit on the sidelines and wait for the cycle. Or at that point, you know, you play the dips and the rips. You know, but when that's the biggest advice that I can give to everybody right now is when you screenshot your portfolio in the positive, that's when it's time to just cap it off, baby. Take that money and run.
Look, I sent Turbo a video. I think I sent it to you too, J Chains, where it's a matrix that I came up with, and I still expand on it, where the experienced trader can use it and the intro level person can use it. And what it's doing is it's using the market API to constantly monitor the prices of the assets you want it to watch. But what it does is you plug in how much money you want to put in. And it's designed to utilize in the bear market or the bull run. It's going to tell you, hey, these are the prices to go in at, or an estimate. And as the market goes up, these are the DCA out points. And this is how much you would make at those points. And it's telling you the amount of coins, the amount of dollar, everything. And that's something that, you know, I as a leader tell people to utilize, because it answers a lot of their questions when they say, where do I get out at? Follow the chart. It's giving you everything that you need, on top of you also being able to monitor the price points.
Good morning, guys. I wanted to second what Jay Change was saying in terms of the screenshot thing. I personally have enough data from the past 2 years that second that notion. And it's almost like to the T. As soon as you take the screenshot and want to send it to somebody or put it on Instagram, your price starts going the other way. So what I do now, I take the screenshot and cash out, and then I go post it.
There you go. Before you put it out before you put it out into the universe, you definitely take those profits.
Correct. And I don't know what it is about it, but it works to a T in that fashion. The other aspect is just that, like, I feel like a lot of folks will come into the markets just thinking like they know how to go about it, or they know where their entry and exit points are, or they have an arbitrary percentage for their exits or whatever, without actually looking at the charts. So I always advise, like, even if you're not a active trader, even if you're just like looking to find your best entries into, let's say, Bitcoin, for example, I still encourage everybody to learn how to chart, just so you can know where your supports, your resistance, your entries, your exits, whatever ought to be, just for the heck of you entering into the market. Because a lot of folks, like you were saying before, Final Frontier, like, your friend got into Shiba basically at the top. But like, if you had just a basic overview of like charts, you could see, if we're overextended, or if we're, going parabolic, and having the knowledge to know not to jump in at that point, I think could help a lot of people. But oftentimes, folks don't want to take the time to really break down and understand the charts because it's too much for them. But they'll throw their money happily at something and, gamble with it. So I just wanted to throw that out there that if you're brand new into this, I recommend you learn how to chart things so you can find your entries and your exits and develop your strategy.
And never chase a pump or try to catch a knife. That's one way to get like wrecked for sure. Well, we've all done it. We've all tried it. We're all trying to, and that's like, one of those things like we were talking about a little bit ago. If you do play that game where you tether off to try to catch things, you got to be very careful because listen, it's happened to me before where I'm tethered off waiting, and then all of a sudden things start pumping. You're like, shit, I got to get back in because this thing's just going to rip right now. And then the moment you do it, it like goes down. So like, like never. And I think we talked about this a few weeks ago on our show. This is Financial Advice with Matthew and I on Wednesdays, is that when you get a plan and you have a trading or an investment plan, stick to it so that you don't get wrecked. And there's way more that you can unpack in there. And if you want to know more stuff, along those lines, we'll save that for the Wednesday show, 3 p.m. Eastern with Matthew and I. It's called This is Financial Advice, so be on the lookout for that. All right, there we go. Turbo, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to finish that out because I was just looking on Google, of course, like looking at the news stories. And it's funny because CNBC put out a headline that says S&P 500 falls in volatile session following U.S. rescue of SVB deposits. Live updates. But I was pretty sure that I saw an article that they said that they were not rescuing them.
It's not a
I'm pretty
bailout.
sure that I heard.
No. They're not bailing the bank out. They're bailing the people that have money in the bank out.
They're white knighting us, huh?
Yes, they're literally bailing in the people that have money in the bank instead of SVB themselves. So they're telling SVB to suck it.
Yeah, they're only doing that because there's a lot of major industries, medical and things like that, that have money tied up in there that they can't afford to get shut down because of the trickling effect would literally cause the next Great Depression. And Turbo, I put that in the chat in case one of you guys wanted to pull that up for the audience. And then also another bank did close as well. So just stay vigilant. Do not make a panic decision. This is the time where we as leaders are trying to lead from the front, keep you guys in the know. And while we make the best educated decision we can before we run to the masses with a panic story that isn't necessarily true yet. When we find out things that are true, we will put them out and try to give the best guidance we can. Understand none of it is financial advice. We are just doing the best we can to keep people from being in a catastrophic situation.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you saying that, Ardo. That is, something that we all need to hear. Even us, man. Even us sitting up here, because again, we're a lot of us, are questioning, what's going to happen today. Again, I told you guys I barely slept last night because I was literally just trying to read as much as what's going on, and just all we can do is be informed, communicate with each other, collaborate, and if you hear something, like you said, just stay vigilant and tell a friend, phone a friend.
And Jay, that is and that's a really good point. I see Zay has his hand up, so I'm gonna throw him the mic there for sure. But I wanted to add this in there. When me and Seven, we were up late and we've been watching and talking and stuff. If you know someone who is like that has like high, so we talked about you, Jay, straight up. So I'm just gonna use you as an example.
That's cool.
This is the way how it went down. We were literally like, hey, like we didn't want to send you any articles, what I'm saying, because we didn't want you freaking out, you know what I'm saying? And I think that because we didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So we just kind of, so just all of that to say is be mindful of the people that you talk to and how their emotions are. If you know someone has high emotions or they might take the information in a bad way, just kind of be, use your head, when you're sharing this stuff like Ardo was saying. I really appreciate what you were saying there, Ardo. But Zay, you got your hand up, fam.
Yes, I wanted to pick you guys' brains on just frankly, what are you guys doing personally with I guess your funds, or how are you maneuvering around all of this? Not only the SVB stuff, but USDC and KuCoin and everything else that's kind of coming in here. I mean, for me, I don't really care. Like, I love it because prices go down. I get to get cheaper coins, right? But what for some new coming into this, like, you know, stables aren't too safe. This isn't too safe. The bank isn't too safe. How would you maneuver this space, knowing what you know now, but you're coming into it brand new?
That's a great question, Zay. I appreciate that. You know, like one of the first things you want to make sure, you know, is you get all of your funds off a centralized exchange. You know, put everything into cold storage. Just get it off the centralized exchanges when you have like these crazy volatile periods like this, because we have seen exchanges halt, just like they halted the stock trading. We've seen them just like you know, halt withdrawals, deposits, trading, all that stuff in the crypto world. And if that's the case, not your keys, not your cheese, baby. You know, some other things that I'm doing again, you know, we talked about last night, you know, I probably went in and out of Ethereum 2 or 3 times just as things were moving, right? Just kind of paying attention to the markets and seeing what's going. I made a couple good decisions. I timed it wrong one time, but you know, that's no big deal. Like, you know, a net positive at the end of the day. I'm also considering buying more blue chip NFTs. Because that, to me, that was the hedge that I made against everything that I had this entire build market, is that you know, after living through a couple of these, like I couldn't stomach seeing, you know, a 6-figure portfolio down to like, you know, 8 grand or whatever, you know, whatever it turns out to be, right? Like everyone's down. And so by incorporating a lot more NFTs, whether the price of the NFT goes down or not, they'll fluctuate a little bit, but it doesn't matter because I got something that I picked out that I enjoy looking, and that brings me joy. And so instead of being pissed off that I don't have $1 million or I don't have $100,000 or whatever it is, I got some cool looking pictures, some JPEGs that mean a lot to me. They're my access to communities and clubs. They're conversation starters. You know, they're all sorts of things that help me navigate versus being in a depressed mood because I don't have the same kind of money that I did, you know, a year and a half ago. So that was my move. That's what I did. Would love to hear what everybody else is doing.
If you're already prepared, you don't have to get prepared.
Right.
And so if you look at natural disasters, you look at, you know, pandemic outbreaks, things of that nature, human nature is always still the same. Mass panic for food and resources. So even in a financial crisis, have the same mindset. Go get a little cash and keep it, right? For a rainy day. Get food and stock up on it. Don't use it unless you have to. Get water that you're not using unless you have to. Toilet paper, blankets, whatever it may be. So that when there is a fallout, you are already prepared. And so you don't have to get prepared. And you see this happen every year. Think of like hurricane season. What do people do? They wait until the hurricane is hours out, and then they go and just obliterate the stores, fight each other, and all these things. But the prepper didn't have to do that. He already has batteries. He already has shutters. He already has toilet paper. He already has food. He already has fuel. He already has a generator. And so he has to do nothing but sit back and protect what he needs to. And so even in a financial crisis, get prepared now so that you don't have to find a way to prepare later.
I got a
finally, Ardo, the preppers are winning.
I got
always right. We knew it.
I've got a buddy who did this. It was a program called NOLS, and it's the now National Outdoor Leadership Summit, I believe. And it's basically, you know, you learn how to hike and pack and basically survive out in the outdoors. And so, you know, they like, I think to graduate this whole thing, you got to do like an 88-day hike where you literally are just out in the woods and you stop at posts to get your things or whatever. But something that he had learned there, he had said to me, and it has stuck with me my entire life, and it applies to so many different things. It's better to need and to not have. I'm sorry. It's better to have and to not need than to need and not have. And so by preparing yourself for situations like that, and yeah, you know, like when you say like the preppers or people that do that kind of stuff, yeah, they're not preparing for zombies. But now look, we had a train derailment that had a bunch of chemicals in the air that just poisoned the water. You're looking at a pending financial collapse. Like, okay, we don't really care about the zombies at this particular moment. We need to be able to make sure that we safeguard ourselves, and you could protect your family, you could feed your family, all that stuff.
But in the event that we do start seeing zombies in the news, know that the shit has definitely hit the fan.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I was, I would say, I think, one of the biggest things right now is that just to be still, you know what I'm saying? Take a minute. I think like what Ardo was saying, like at the very minimum, just have a case of freaking water. Because if in the event that the shit really did hit and everything collapsed, a majority of people are going to die from dehydration, right? And that'll be like the number one thing that people are like going crazy about. I think that it's one of those things that when emotions are high, intelligence is low, and you can't have blood in both places. So it's just really kind of taking some time, stepping back, relax just a little bit. It is there's already pandemonium, right? Like it's like people are gonna like you're gonna hear all kinds of crazy things that are get our emotions high, because that's what makes us respond. In the military, that was like the one thing, man. There's a certain calm, and I know Ardo can like definitely speak to this, but there's a very special calm that happens right before you engage in that firefight. Like it's a beautiful, unsurreal moment. And if we can learn to use that moment in these times, because that's when you're making the best decisions. That's when you know that you're making the right moves. And it's without a doubt. And it's that moment in time when you make that decision and once you've made that decision, that you own it. Because if you make a wrong one, your life is over. So, just be still, get a case of water.
It takes 1 gallon of water per person in your house every single day.
We call that a tactical pause, right? And if you even look at how the Rangers are trained, the enemy likes to attack just before dawn or just before dusk. Why? Because that's typically when everyone's in their most calmest state and not prepared for outbreak. And if you look at most of the times you have faced a crisis, it has probably happened right when you weren't prepared for it to happen. And so panic ensues. Firefight outbreaks and everybody screaming at the leader. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's okay to say, hey, Turbo, give me just a second so that I can make the right decision, because there's a lot riding on my decision. Don't ever think you have to make an immediate decision, because as Turbo said, when tensions are high, intelligence becomes low. So take time to make sure you're exercising the right intelligence or the right emotional intelligence move. Take a tactical pause before you make a vital decision.
And we all get the opportunity to be doing this. I mean, we're all looking after our portfolios. We're all looking after, the stability that, we've got in what we're looking at. If this is not the beginning of the bull run, if it's supposed to be later in the year, like we originally thought, we may have several months of this chop kind of action, this volatility. Are you prepared for it? Were you kind of banking on things going up? Were you ready if we do take another leg down to $1,000? Are you prepared? And this isn't to scare anybody, this is just, the conversation to make sure that we're thinking about things, because now everybody has the opportunity to become a leader. You may just be very passive in what you do, but these are the times where you got to dig in and you got to yourself. You have to be the leader of your own self right now and say, this is our plan. This is what we're doing. If shit hits the fan, we got a plan B. But this is the plan, and we're moving forward with it. And you gotta figure out how to lead yourself and lead your crew. Dougie, what's up, man? GM. I didn't say GM the first time you talked, so I'm sorry.
Let's slow it down a minute, okay? Because I'm supposed to be like hyper, and I'm like the calmest person here right now. Okay, everyone notice that it's the morning. All right, like. This whole weekend, starting Friday, I was actually at the club partying all day Friday, okay? I was at like the secret speakeasy in Denver. Then I was at Temple nightclub, which you guys a lot of you are probably familiar with from East Denver and stuff. And hanging out with all my DJ homies, working on all these secret projects, right? And I'm feeling on top of the world, like my life is going like skyrocketing like crazy, right? I've got all these cool friends, like you guys up here, everybody up here on the speaker panel is super awesome, right? And I'm like, it couldn't be better, because like I'm just able to do so many fun, cool things and have some kind of influence on people, try to help them and have a lot of fun doing it. And then all these dudes I'm hanging out with, I'm talking to, that are friends of friends happen to be financial people. They work in finance, and they're young dudes in like their 20s, right? And they're crazy smart, I find out, right? And super cool dudes, stylish, whatever. You talk about anything cultural, music, whatever, rap, they know fucking everything and have opinions, and they're really wonderful people, and they're freaking the hell out about what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. And they're like, this is really bad, Doug. They're like, all this stuff, ripple effects, whatever, right? They're not really actually emotionally freaking out, but they're just like logistically stating like, blah, blah, blah. This is what's going to happen, everything, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, like, whoa, these rational dudes who are extremely intelligent, especially for their age, are like freaking out kind of internally and stuff, saying that like the bank system's going to collapse. And I'm just like, why does everyone always jump to conclusions and freak out? Like, why is, I mean, I swear to God, like you're talking guys in these very intelligent ways, especially with backgrounds in military and stuff, of like taking a step back, thinking about things, trying to make a good decision. And that's like actual real intelligence, right? Like people are 99% of the time are making the wrong decision, jumping to conclusions, assuming things all the time. And I was watching the YouTube show Crypto Lifer the other day. I don't really know him, but my buddy Crypto Grady like had him on his show, so I went and checked him out. And he was basically saying like, hey, you know, everyone's coming to me for advice all the time, but the more I know, the more I think I know I'm right, the more I'm wrong. Like he's like, I'm always, the more you think you know what's going to happen, the more you're wrong. So you have to live in that uncertainty and live in that like you're not really sure what's going to happen. And a big part of that is just being prepared, right? But also mentally just knowing that like you don't know the answers. There's things happening behind the scenes that you don't know. I have this argument with people all the time in the tech and Web3 sector that like part of the reason that we have issues is because we're living in this plausible deniability where everyone's just greedy and they just want things and they don't think about the bigger picture. You look at FTX and SBF, there's no one asking questions behind the scenes at any of these institutions when they see any red flags or any weird stuff happening. No, they're not, because they just want to make money and they're afraid of what might happen to them if they were asked the wrong question, or they're like, you know, in the wrong position according to whoever's like above them in the food chain or whatever, right? I, on the other hand, give zero F's about any of that. Like, I'm in founder meetings, I'm in board meetings saying, like, I want to know the answers to this stuff right now. Like, if not, bye-bye. Like, if people as a whole don't start thinking about what is actually happening and having a top-down view of whatever projects or anything you're working on and ask questions, and because you're only like a driving force is greed and comfortability and being comfortable, you're so screwed, right? Like you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to be in a position. The only time you have power is when you can actually assert your power, right? So, you know, I do not have a background in the military or anything where like my decisions actually affect other people greatly. So obviously my decision making only affects like a small like circumference around me. But so that's also why I listen a lot to people that have more experience and are in more difficult situations than myself, because until I've been in that situation where I have high amounts of stress or there's a high amount of risk or there's a high amount of responsibility, I don't know the answer and I don't have experience in it, right? So I ask a ton of questions and people probably are annoyed by me thoroughly that work with me. But the thing is that like at the end of the day, I can feel good about it at least. And that's the thing, is that like Web3, people call themselves disruptors, all this stuff. And I think it's because we're tired of just listening and accepting whatever people tell us, which is a really good thing. But the question is, what's your motivation, right? Is your motivation just like more greed and more just power? Or is it that you just want to understand things better? And so we can all understand things better, so maybe this weekend's a really good point where we can actually start to like think about how things actually work behind the scenes. And maybe it's a possibility that we can work and shift towards a better, stronger future with crypto. On the other hand, we have, you know, all these institutions, you know, vintage institutions that are like fighting against crypto hardcore behind the scenes, probably want to take it down. But I don't know. It's a really interesting thing to think about, right, Jay? James, of like, what is the path forward ahead where everything kind of works out well, where like all the typical institutions are going to have to start to leverage themselves and go more into crypto so that so they're fighting against it less. That makes sense, right? Because we've seen, I've talked about this with Ardo before in the past too, where, crypto institutions are being fought against behind the scenes and trying to be taken down by, the banking institutions and things that we have because they're scared. They're scared of like the possibility and power of people being able to just to have a credit card or debit card that's just a straight up from crypto. You know what I mean? They don't need a bank anymore.
Look, we got a couple hands up, and look, I know I always leave a word of the day, and this is an important one. Turbo is well aware of this already. Have a pace plan. That means primary, alternate, contingency, and then emergency. And so if step one doesn't work, you already have step two. If that doesn't work, you have step three. And if all else fails, you still have step four. And never let the intrusive thought step in. We all have intrusive thoughts. And just like the phone, and I heard this in a message the other day, when a call is coming through, but you're doing something important or focusing on something important, that's what the ignore button is for. So when you have these intrusive panic thoughts, hit the ignore button. You may hear it or you may see it, but choose to ignore it and take that tactical pause so that you can make the right decision. Look, I had this talk with everyone the other day. I said, look, I get it. Everyone's blowing me up about what we're going to do to save Final Frontier because of all this outbreak. I said, look, let me take a moment. I have maybe a few minutes to a few hours to figure out how to save my company. Let me process my thoughts before I make that decision. And it's what I do with everything else. I have thousands of people that are looking to me. And as a leader of this organization, whether they understand it or not, their welfare in this space is in my hands. And so I owe it to them to not make a decision under panic, but make the best decision that I feel can benefit everyone.
Man,
have a pace plan.
And that's literally all you can do. And I appreciate you sharing kind of like Ardo, like I guess your formula for your being the leader that you are. Not only are you a leader at Final Frontier and what you do, man, but if you guys don't know Ardo is just a fucking leader in this world. And I am definitely proud to know you and to be acquaintances with you and to work with you. And I'll tell you what, man, I stand shoulder to shoulder with just about any. I don't know everybody in this room. I know a very, very high percentage of the people in this room. I would stand shoulder to shoulder with anybody. If as long as we have the same mission and what we're looking for to accomplish is of like-minded. Come on, man. We can make moves and move mountains together. Ja, what's up, man? You got your hand up, and then Craig, we're coming to you next.
GM, I haven't been on this space in a while. I'll tell y'all that 100%. But I had to agree with a couple things that Hype says is, and one thing that I always would say in this space is, there's so many people that I just don't know what's going on, and I feel like they follow the masses. So that kind of led to like so many people, like even like FTX, just getting away with like murder. It's just because people weren't asking questions. Crypto came out one of the biggest times that in the very I would say first type of mass adoption was in 2021. People was getting all the stimulus checks and going crazy, spending their money on everything. That was like the most times that I heard NFT, crypto, this, that, and the third. And it was just so many people were just coming into the space not knowing what's going on. There was so much money to be made. And I feel like money, in a way, like even for like crypto, like people were here for the money for crypto. They wanted, people don't like banks. They started seeing the realization later on. But at first, I'm here for money. What? I can flip a couple $100 into a couple thousand overnight. It was rug Sember. Even with the NFT game, NFTs kind of you see what's happening. There was just I call it rug Sember. There was so many rugs and node projects and coins. Like it was just bad, bro. It was just very bad, and people were not asking questions because there was those who came in that invested a couple hundred, came out 8,000. But one of those people was me. I invested $100 in a coin one day, like screw it. Came out 8,000 in like 2 weeks. I didn't ask no questions about it, but I pulled out. So that was like one of the major things is we always say that we need to do our due diligence, do our own research, and we don't do these things. We don't do these things. A lot of people in Web3 do not do these things. A lot of people don't know about it. People are not informed about anything. And it's just creating criminals, you know. If you, for example, you know how many different coins they have coins for damn near everything. And honestly, not every project, not everything needs a coin. There's like 30,000 Shiba Inus right now. For what? For what? What is the
Yo,
point
but
of the coin?
man, I got a question for you, fam. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, how do you do your own research? Right.
I do my own-
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm gonna preface this and then I'm gonna throw you back to Mike because when you look at somebody like Charles Schwab, right? They're shut down today. They're halted. Like they ain't doing. You know what I mean? Like, how much more research could you have done? How could you have seen that coming? You know what I'm saying? Like, are we just hoodwinking people? Like, is it a place of like where we really have these people have great intentions? I mean, because the number one thing that we hear is I came here for the money and I stayed for the community because we saw what was able to be done. I mean, where does that equation? How do you do your own research?
I mean, me personally, like I said, I haven't been reading really into anything lately. So I just started hopping back on the space. You know, see some familiar people in the space. I'm like, you know, let me see what they're talking about. Plus, I got a torn Achilles, so I'm stuck in the crib.
Oh man.
But,
Well,
yeah,
with,
bro.
with money, let's look at the world in two sections. Wealthy, as in you have more than $1 million, and the poor. So not saying that you're broke, but the poor. And the poor like to buy or own things. The wealthy like to control what they own. And money unequivocally brings a level of power. And with that power comes great responsibility. But power can attract the worst. And if let happen, it can corrupt the best. And so we have to be aware of that. Craig.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add a couple of things on there. But firstly, before I do, shout out to you, Jay Chains Turbo, Lady Bossnat, Dougie. You know, I love you, man. And you hit the nail on the head with some of your points. But I think one thing that nobody touched on was don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you're diversifying what you're investing in. You know, if you invest all your money in one currency and it crashes, you're done. Make sure you're spreading your investments across more than one aspect or even one genre of finance, you know, whatever that be, if you want to put it in stocks or bonds or, you know, whatever it be. But if you're going to put all your eggs in one basket, then you have to be of the mindset that, you know, you could lose it all at one point. So, you know, that's just one thing I wanted to touch on. And then the other thing you spoke about, Jay Chains, was that Knowles. And I was blessed enough to do the Kokoda Trek back in 2013, which I don't know if you guys know what the Kokoda Trek is. It's where the Australian soldiers walked for 93 kilometres over 11 days, you know, under huge terrain, you know, up to their chest in mud, you know, and 30,000 people were killed in that aspect. And I was lucky enough to walk that terrain with the mud up to my chest. And one of the things they taught you in that is decision making and how you don't make decisions when you're under duress or you're under stress or you're in panic situations. You have to control your emotions before you make a decision, and that comes down to education. And you just spoke about education and how do you educate, how do you do your own research, and it's extremely difficult in such a volatile market to do that. But for me, as an investor, I'm an investor before I am a marketer and a project founder. And, you know, for investors, it's all about, like I said, spreading it across a number of areas. Don't put it all in one spot. But, you know, that's pretty much all I wanted to contribute to this. You know, I love every one of you guys, and, you know, everyone's said so much valuable information here. And this is what I love about Web3 is that, you know, you can get such an eclectic mix of people from around the world with cultural backgrounds, different investment experience, who can all add value to each other, you know, and Dougie comes in the room and just fires off gold every time I hear him speak. So, if you're not connected to Dougie, if you don't know D-Hype Doug, then make sure you're following him and all the other people on this panel, because everyone adds so much value to this space. And actually what you said, Jar, was about people entering Web3. And when I first entered Web3, I was a marketer before I founded a project. And I found that I was getting hit up by so many projects and brands saying, I can't sell this, I can't sell that. How do I get my brand awareness? How do I build brand engagement? How do I build that up? And my first question to them was, how long have you been in Web3 for? And I guarantee you 90% of them had been in Web3 for less than 3 months, and they're struggling. Well, no wonder. And I would say to them, how much research have you done into Web3? Oh, I've done a bit of this and a bit of that. I'd say you need to do 60 to 100 hours research before you even consider creating your own brand or your own project in Web3. Understand how the system works, understand the blockchain technology, understand community engagement, building brand awareness, all of the things you need to know. Do your research on it, do your homework on it, reach out to marketers, like myself, like KT, like Lady Bossnet, like all of you amazing people here. And get the education you need before you make big mistakes, because they cost you a lot of money.
That is the absolute truth, Craig. I appreciate you, man. You guys make sure not only are you following Craig and, like you said, Dougie, make sure anybody that's up on the stage is definitely worth the follow. But also, down in the crowd, there are a great number of amazing community members that show up day in, day out for Web3 Breakfast. Y'all should start following each other. At some point, maybe we'll formalize this community with I don't really want to do like a Discord or something, but there has to be a way for us all to be able to communicate with each other and not just in the Twitter space. And we'll figure it out. I'm just not a big fan of being in Discord all day. It's just not my jam, but we'll figure something out. I know we got a couple more hands. Zay, let's go to you next.
The point that I wanted to add to all of this was just that majority of people, including, I can speak for myself, but I think some of you guys can resonate to this, is that we tend to enter the Web3 market during a bull run and all the hype is happening, right? So it's almost like you come in, you find someone who you think you can trust and they're leading you in the right way, but they themselves aren't very well educated or haven't done the full research, etc. So it's the blind leading the blind within that phase of the market. And that's why I personally love the bear market, because all of that noise and stuff kind of goes away. Price settles a little bit, none of the FOMO, none of the, emotional stuff that goes into it. And it allows for individuals to be able to sit down, develop a strategy, learn how to do the research. And I appreciate you asking that question, Turbo, because I started to see that we would yell out DYOR, but would never tell nobody how to DYOR. We're speaking to just regular day-to-day people here who may have just a regular job and may not have the know-how to research a particular company like an investor. So a lot of things have to be learned or taught or whatever to build that foundational knowledge of being an investor or a trader, whatever the case may be. And then you approach these projects, these cryptos, whatever the case may be, and you break them down, right? You develop a strategy on how am I going to evaluate this particular project and understand it before I throw my money in there. And oftentimes the best time to do that is during the bear market. So I can't fault too many people. Shoot, I got caught up in all of that, just throwing money into stuff because of this and that and all the noise, but really not knowing. But the only way you really lose is if you exit the space with that, the fall of the bull market, and you don't truly get the knowledge, and then you try to re-enter when you hear all the hype on the news again. People are going to continue losing that way. So how do we keep the people in? I know there's, folks that would stay for the community, like you said. I stayed for the tech because I finally understood it and was like, oh snap, this solves a lot of issues. And I've been in ever since. But you guys are correct in terms of you have to do that research, because it took me, 2.5 years in that bear market in 17, 18 to fully understand everything, to even have the knowledge to even come out and start speaking about it. So I guess there's some sympathy on my side on that, but I guess for us that's still here and are the leaders of this, in a sense, like, how do we kind of steer the people in the right way in the midst of all of that noise that happens?
The first
Before you go to jar, I'll just add to that, quickly, sorry for 1 minute, that a funny story. I spoke to one guy who came into the Web3 space, and this is the mentality that people have in the space that we've got to change. Is he came in and he asked me, and I said to him, why are you in Web3? And he said, his answer was, oh, I saw an article in a magazine where some 13-year-old kid sold $3 million worth of NFTs in 17 days. And I felt like I could do that because I'm an artist too. And I'm like, have you done any research? Oh, no, I just saw this kid do it. So I thought, my time was now, I could do that too. That's the mentality we've got to change. And just so everybody knows, and I mean, I'm not big noting myself here in any way, but I have written a book. I'm trying to get it published at the moment. It's a simplified version of NFTs and Web3. I've been writing it for 2 and a bit years now, and it's now complete. I'm having it edited and audited at the moment. And it's just and I don't like to use the term dumb it down, but the terms in Web3 and the metaverse and everything to do with, blockchain are just so daunting to so many people. They don't understand when you talk about, immutability and, all of these things. People don't get all that stuff. So I've sort of dumbed it down and written a book in layman's terms that's very easy to understand. Like I said, it's taken me a hell of a long time to do it, and I've relied on a lot of people in Web3 to provide value to it. So hopefully we can get that somewhere. I don't care if we provide it free. It's not about monetizing a book for me. I don't care if we put it somewhere on a Web2 based platform. People can download it for free. Don't care. I just want people to understand how easy it is to get by in this space if people educate them in a lower manner than the blockchain technology terminology,
That's one of the things that we're going to have to do is really and make it easier for people to understand, for sure. All right, we got 2 more hands really quick. I want to get to Ja and then AI Love really quick, and then I actually have a haircut at noon. I got to go get this mop and this beard done. I got to get my ears lowered. I am looking like a ragamuffin again. I don't know how my hair and beard grows so fast, but it is. So Ja, let's go to you next, and then AI Love, and then we'll close it out for the day.
Yeah, excellent points that's being talked about right now. I love that. I miss the space 100%. But a lot of things too that I realize is just being in the space for so long and working my way up from a community member to being a main team member on a project. And I've seen it all from all angles. Like it's really a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of money that has been spent, and it's just like when a lot of projects came out, it went straight into a bear market, and a lot of things went to shit, and I look at it as NFTs. I love NFTs. There's something about them that's just different. It makes you prideful again. It's like it's in a way, it's a collectible that comes with a whole bunch of benefits. It's exclusive. It makes you feel like you're a part of something again. It makes it feel like we're back in 2005 when Xbox Live and PS Online came out. Like it feels great. And I tell people, like, sometimes I feel like some of these NFT projects is like you're going to a Honda dealer. It's just different models of a Honda, if we're being honest sometimes. And I feel like there's so many projects that jump up because there's so much money to be made. There's so many projects. It's the same project idea added with something different from that one with different art. And that's it. And those, I feel like the number one thing that we didn't do is start holding these people accountable. Because there were so many projects coming out every day. You had these different groups of people all clicking up and throwing these mega spaces or this and that, or hyping them up and buying all these influencers to come in. And it's like people get hype, and hype used to move this space nonstop. And that was one of the biggest problems. So guess what? What happened? The hype kind of died. It died out. And once the hype died out, people started seeing, oh, this is a waste of time. I can't do this. It's not doing that. It takes more than a year to make a game, ladies and gentlemen. It takes more than a game, or more than a year to make a game, ladies and gentlemen, especially a good game with blockchain technology, with paying all these developers. People were making damn near $100,000 a year to code. People were making $100,000 a year plus just to give creative ideas to a project. They were just hiring people because that's how much money was going around. But the sad part, there were so many people in this space that had no idea what was going on. So much money was being spent at people that couldn't even do anything for you. And that was one of the problems that happened to my project before I got on the main team. They were spending so much money to so many people that say, we can do this for you. We can do this for you. We can do that. And they never did anything. I still, to this day, I still feel like nobody knows how to market Web3 properly. Because you cannot sit here and go out on live TV and explain anything to anybody. You might get it, but people are going to look at you dumbfounded. And that's a straight fact. So that is the number one problem is, again, it all comes down to the misinformation. A lot of people think that they know things. They don't know. A lot of people can say that they can do things. There were so many people that came into the space that I'm a marketer. I can market this. I can do this. You have no social media experience. It just got bad, gruesome. People didn't know how to talk to people. You know, it's just the power. People think they're on top. People are allowed to have their opinion. If I'm sitting here putting money into a project and I'm spending damn near, depending on where ETH was at that point or any other crypto, if I'm spending maybe $1,000 to hop into a project, I want my opinion to be recognized 100%. But, you know, the space is changing. There's a lot that needs to be revamped. And I feel like even having discussions like this can make it better.
Ja, I appreciate you, man. You know, for the first time in our space here at Web3 Breakfast, you know, you showed up. You had a great perspective, some great opinions, man. Please make sure that that you come back and hang out with us. We're here Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. AI, I want to get to you, and then I got to skedaddle, but I don't want to leave a hand hanging. So. I can't hear him.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was
Just like, what's up?
There he is.
Show some love. You know, retweet the space and all that other nice stuff. I just get my day started, man. I was loving the conversation. I heard somebody say, what can we do to help people figure out Web3? Tell them, have you figured out the banks? No? Okay, your ass better come over to Web3. You might as well figure that shit out.
There you go. There you go. We got sometimes you just got to hit him with that little roundabout. Yeah, go ahead, Turbo.
Hit him with the tough thing. It's the truth. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, great day. Jay, go get your shit trimmed up. We need you looking nice and all spiffy for YouTube, man. I'm loving your content, dude. Keep it coming. I just wanted to throw you some flowers your way, man. Congratulations on the beast yet again. If y'all don't know, Chains is chaining and swinging. He may make me go Cuban gang on him.
Let's go.
You know, start my hunt for the Cuban gang, you know.
Oh, I love that.
Man, I can't wait. Hey, yo, AI just sent me one with freaking Crocs on, so you already know I got my eyes now.
There we go.
No, I want to leave everybody with this right here, guys. In psychology, it's called the confirmation bias. It is the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms or supports one's prior beliefs or values. Guys, we have been marketed to our entire lives that people of celebrity or people of certain power, that if they drink these certain pops, that that's what we should do too, right? That is not the truth, right? And that was a big problem in this space. Is everybody was coming in and these influencers were giving information. They know what the hell they were talking about. That's why Web3 Breakfast is so important. Win Media and Meme NFT Marketplace, because this is our time as the people who are here writing the freaking history and putting down the rules to step up and say, yo, this is how it needs to be done. And coming together, it's all of us doing that, man. So think about who you're talking about. We appreciate you being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Man, I'm turned up, Jay. I'm ready to get this day started, man. You definitely got to be looking right, because you got LA, and then you got to go to Atlanta, to Austin, back to LA. And then, you know, like New York's still on the board too. So, man, you got to get right, man.
Gotta get that hair did. You know what I'm saying? Guys, I appreciate everyone that came up here on stage, everyone that came to the audience. Y'all are the real heroes. This is our community. We are building something so strong, so unique, so amazing. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for participating. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. Guys, remember, we talked about diversification. Diversify everything you do. I can tell you, when I get to Texas, Turbo and I, we're going to have a smelt. We're going to start going garage sailing. We're going to get all the silver we can find, and we're going to make our own coins. So if you ever get a special coin from Turbo or I, just make sure you hang on to that thing forever, because it's probably going to get you access at some point. But anyway, guys, have a great rest of your day. Make sure you do some research. Check the system to see what's going on. Check the markets. Check the banks. But don't cause any problems. Don't cause any panic. Just make sure that you are staying vigilant, keeping your eyes on the prize, and that's your financials. So remember, not your keys, not your cheese. That includes your NFTs. Y'all have a great day. There will be some more shows and stuff that we've got throughout the day today. Golden Baboons are revealing and a public mint happening later this afternoon. I think 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. I put something out early this morning, but I will definitely kick out some more links throughout the day. But there is a ton of things happening, so make sure that you guys get your mind right. Get your mind set. Be positive. Let's push forward. We are all going to be okay. Remember to stack your chips, stack your coins, get some NFTs, and we'll be back tomorrow for some more Web3 breakfast. Y'all have a great day.
Peace, brother.
Do you want to bring your kitty? Show baby well. Show baby well your kitty. Yeah. Do you want to bring your drink water? Oh, you don't forget to eat.
Come on, baby. Come on, come see mama. Come on. Ha ha ha, kept it recording. Sorry.